Hey everybody, Brandon here, reading through the Old Testament in my Bible right now, and I'm reading through the book of Judges. And the book of Judges is all about very difficult times in ancient Israel. They keep turning away from God, they get oppressed by people groups around them, like the Philistines, and then God raises up a judge to then free the Israelites from that oppression. And in verse 11, we meet a judge named Jephthah. Now, Jephthah has a really interesting backstory. He was born to a prostitute. Because of that, he has siblings, half siblings, that all have different dads. Jephthah, it says, is a Gileadite in verse 1, and that he is a great warrior. But when his brothers get older, they don't like that he's from out of town. They don't like that he's a pretty famous warrior. And so they say, hey, you're not our brother. You're not from around here. Get out of here or we'll kill you. And so Jephthah, he's a great warrior, he could have taken them out, but these are his half siblings. And so he leaves. And it says in verse 3 that he goes to the land of Tob. And once there, these worthless scoundrels, this is what it says, these worthless scoundrels gather around him and they start going on raids. And I'm sitting there, I'm reading through this and saying, like, wow, who is this guy that God is choosing to be his judge? He's got a pretty rough backstory, lots of hard things going on in his family, in his upbringing with his half siblings. And not only that, he's this incredible warrior, meaning he kills a lot of people. And at the same time, when he goes off into another land, he gathers a bunch of scoundrels around him and they essentially become bandits. And so, man, why is this story in the Bible? Why is God using this guy? And I think there's a lot of good lessons for us in this. And I think the first one, as we think about our own lives, is that, hey, just because you have a hard backstory or have been through some difficult things does not mean that God cannot use you. And that's a beautiful thing. In fact, some of the hardest things and worst moments that I've been through in my life have set me up and have taught me lessons to be able to love others well, to be able to serve people well, and also really impact God's kingdom in a powerful way, because I've needed his grace, I've needed his transformation, and so those hard things I've been through have helped. And you might have some stories like that as well. I think the other thing we see is on if we want to make it into a positive end, Jephthah goes to the land of Tob where he's a stranger. And apparently he's got some leadership traits, because immediately all of these people, these scoundrels that are worthless and have been doing nothing, they're drawn to him. And he unifies them. He turns them into an army of sorts and gives them a mission to live out. So he actually makes them better. And I know that they become raiders at this point. But what God is doing is setting Jephthah up. God needs a judge, a man of war to free the Israelite people. And so when Jephthah is tapped on the shoulder and God says, hey, you're going to be the next judge, guess what Jephthah has? He has an army of people that are unified, and he is given a mission, and they are ready to go and serve God's will instead of their own will. And there's powerful imagery there. And so on a positive note, how do we apply this to our lives? You and I, wherever we're going, like, be that the workplace, in our home, when we're out and about in the town, what are we doing to make the people around us better? What are we doing to unify people and help them to walk more powerfully in their gifts? Are we using our gifts to gather people around and give a mission in which we can serve God's kingdom and impact the world with Jesus? I think that's something that we could be asking into any space that we step into. And it's a lesson that we can learn straight from this guy that's got a pretty interesting life journey, Jephthah from Judges chapter 11. So that's what I'm thinking about here today. Love to hear your thoughts and comments. If you want to put those below, if you have any questions, you can toss those in there too. But appreciate you coming on here and chewing on God's word and applying it to our lives with me. See y'all.